In this video, we're going to look at how to prepare a servo for our future coding. And there are a few different ways to attach this. These are all servo brackets here. So we have this flat one, we have this bracket that's very useful for making a pivoting joint, and then we have this other flat bracket that we can attach our servo here on the end, and we can sort of slide it to get fine adjustment. What I would recommend for your first time using a servo is this flat servo bracket over here. So I'm going to take these two and place them back in the box. So what I'm going to do is get a length of C channel. Length is up to you. I would go with 3 to 5 main holes. And I'm going to take my servo bracket and look at how would I orient it on this board. What I'm going to recommend doing is orienting it towards one of the ends so that the longer edge, because this is asymmetric, so the longer edge sort of points inwards towards the channel. Because what we can do in the future is use this same assembly and attach our ultrasonic sensor and our line sensor to it and sort of have all of our little devices on one channel for the purposes of practicing our code. So what we're going to do is take this C channel, take this bracket, we're going to line them up. We don't need a lot of screws here. I think 2 half-inch screws is more than enough. Again, this is not a true robot. It's just holding our servo off of the table while we practice our coding. So we're going to pop that in on the top, 2 screws directly across from each other. That'll be more than enough to hold this on. Flip it over. We're going to attach our bolts just using our fingers, or our nuts, sorry, so just using our fingers, right directly to the screw. Start it with your finger, try to get them down, just sort of run your finger across, that'll finger tighten it. Flip it back over, get your hex driver, and then using your finger on the bottom to hold that nut, just give it a 1/4 to a 1/2 of a turn. Okay, so a 1/4 to a 1/2 of a turn, just to make sure everything's nice and tight. And that's it. That'll get that attached to that channel. As you can see, it sits quite nicely. Then we're going to take our servo and we're going to run it so that the cord comes out this end. And just place our servo in. And obviously we're going to want to tighten this up really quick. Again, 1 or 2 half-inch screws should be more than enough. I'm going to go for 2 just to play it safe. And this time I'm going to go on a diagonal from each other. So I'm going to take my screw, place it in through the top. Oh, it's getting stuck a little bit there. Don't know why. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so it's gone all the way through, and I can put my nut on the bottom. What I'm going to notice here is that I'm not going to be able to rotate the nut. So I'm going to take my screwdriver and just drive that screw in with the hex driver. If it gets caught in the plastic like it did for me, just play around with it so it fits snug. You don't need to over tighten this. Again, this is just to hold things in place while we're coding, and we don't want it bouncing out or getting knocked around in between classes. So we're going to flip it over, put a screw in from one side, a nut from the bottom, and then using our hex driver, we'll drive that screw down because the nut will not be able to rotate because there's not enough space there. And that is our servo attached to a sub-assembly to allow us to start coding. What we're going to want to do next is find a way to visualize the rotation of this servo head. One of the easiest ways to do this is, again, I know I mentioned this in a past video, is to get this flat servo adapter, take out a small standoff and a single button head screw. Put the button head screw in from the bottom. Okay, take the standoff and just finger tighten it in from the top. This doesn't have to be super tight. Tighten it, there we go. And now we have a little way to document where our servo is. So we're just going to take that grooved side, the side with teeth, and place that right onto the servo. Okay, so that's a sub-assembly to allow us to control our servo. Cord is accessible to be plugged into our robotics controller, and our servo is not going to fall over when we're trying to use it.